When do you think people die? When they are shot through the heart by the bullet of a pistol? No. When they are ravaged by an incurable disease? No. When they drink a soup made from poisonous mushroom? No. It's when they stop listening to Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast where we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, who chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling Mistborn, the Final Empire, chapters 31 through 34. So now, let's throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is... What's the name? Oh yeah, this is Joe! Why, thank you, Joe. Yep, once again, this is Joe here for Cosmic Chronicles, as the intro said. And I am joined, again, by Sheta and Justin. How are the two of you doing on this podcast?
I'm great.
On this podcast episode, I'm good. Not rest.
All right. And also, this week, we decided to have a guest this week to come in and throw their insights. Those of you at home, you may remember him from the high school fan video, Taekwondo Jitsudo. If you are not one of the 4 people that have seen that, then you will not recognize him. This is Nick. How are you doing today, Nick?
Oh, I'm just grand, thank you.
And
I haven't even seen that.
Only
people
4.
People might also remember Nick from were you in Death House?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
He was the lead.
I don't remember what I did. No.
You died.
Really?
You got your throat slit.
Well,
yep.
Granted, Death House never finished getting edited together. But yeah. So Nick's here, and Nick, like Justin Sheta, he has been reading along with our podcast, so he's as blind as they are to the Cosmere end to this story. So first, Nick, I'll just ask you, what's your experience with like fantasy and all that sort of stuff?
Read half of Harry Potter, all of Lord of the Rings, couple Brent Weeks trilogies. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Night Angel or Lightbringer. Those are pretty good fantasy books. Read The Hobbit. Yep. Play D&D.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just get your overall thoughts of Elantris,
Yes.
and then what you've read so far of Final Empire.
Oh boy, I liked Elantris a lot. Especially near the end, of course, when it gets all. I did the audiobook, so I listened to like 8 hours straight when it was at the end. But reflecting back on it, I do see, it was very slow at the beginning. But I really enjoyed it. I liked a lot of the concepts, and I like his hard magic, and I like the mysterious problem that there was throughout the book and how or if it was going to be solved. Final Empire, also enjoying, definitely a quicker pace. It holds the attention more. Again, I like the hard magic again and how he describes it, and yeah.
And if I'd ask you, who was your favorite character in Elantris?
I kind of liked. I thought Galadin was pretty cool. I liked his role.
You would.
I would.
Yeah.
Why?
No,
Like a
it
hero
sounded
type.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would have guessed that.
I mean, he wasn't Raiden. It was, just his sidekick. But I don't know. I like the friendly guy he meets there. The one person he feels like you can trust in the scary place.
All right. So we've got some of that info out there. Now we'll dive into some info for everyone to judge us on our opinions. This week, we will be asking about Star Wars. And all
Ooh.
right. So
The
first,
movies, extended universe.
However you
Whatever you
interpret
want
it.
I don't know.
So we'll just ask you your favorite character in Star Wars.
One single character.
Yeah, there's plenty. We'll do 3.
Wait, yeah, one. Jesus Christ.
I was
That's a
fine with
bit
one.
much.
The hero or villain, or doesn't matter.
Either
I
way.
suppose. Okay. I liked Darth Maul. I would have said Boba Fett until they made the book of Boba Fett.
Oh God, no.
So not anymore. Vader for sure. and maybe Mace Windu or Chewie. One of the two.
You gotta pick one. You can't pick two.
I'll do Windu.
Windy.
Windy.
Cool. My favorite would have to be Anakin Skywalker. And then Obi-Wan. And then Luke.
You just love Anakin because he killed children.
No, Joe. That's only a small part. He saves children too. His own
Sorry,
children.
I gotta go on a quick tangent here. So I have this 3-4 foot tall Vader figure sitting on my desk, standing, kind of just behind my monitors. And my brother was over with his girlfriend babysitting yesterday, and we came home and woke up the next morning. There's googly eyes on everything, and I leaned back just now and looked at him, and Vader has googly eyes. It really threw me off.
Oh God, that's
It is
sacrilege.
deeply disturbing. Yeah,
You gotta take a
I'd
picture.
share
I want
that.
to see.
I'll send that to you. Yeah, I'll throw it in the chat.
If he's hunting down Jedi, that's just going to throw them off. He's like, oh God, scared. What the hell's up with his eye? And then he'll kill them.
That sounds like a horrifying thing to be killed by.
All right, Justin, your Star Wars characters.
She didn't finish. She just said Anakin.
No, then she said Obi-Wan and Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Luke. Yeah, which Obi-Wan?
Just Obi-Wan in general. I like him in most media, except for the show. So, which I don't
thought
really
the-
consider canon
I thought the
completely.
show was all right. There was stuff I liked, but then other stuff I didn't.
No. The second that they tell me that he met Leia before, that's when I've got a problem with the continuity of that show. No, thank you.
But Flea's in the show.
I just saw Flea last night.
Who is Flea?
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, I just saw him last night.
Oh, nice.
He's there. He was in Back to the Future Part 2 and 3. Justin, your Star Wars characters?
3 favorite characters. Well, the Emperor is one of my favorite characters of all time, so he's definitely number 1. Find him boundlessly entertaining. 2, I'd probably say Grand Admiral Thrawn, but only the book version, not the show version, which I consider 2 different characters, though I did like him in Rebels. I did not like his live-action appearances. And then I'm just going to go Han Solo for 3rd, because he's been my favorite since I was a wee lad.
Nice. Like, despite all this other stuff I've seen, I just still like the basic. Like, just shows how strong they are for me.
They're strong characters.
Well, it's real easy to like them when you just ignore the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I assume you
that's true.
ignored that when you said the Emperor, right?
I don't
Or
like
did you
the
like his role?
continuity of it, but I love watching that actor act. I can't help myself.
I do love that actor.
Well, I don't like that
Why
they did
he's
the
there,
reveal.
I couldn't tell you, but
I don't like that they had the reveal that he was still alive in Fortnite. If you didn't play Fortnite,
Wow.
you would not have heard that thing that revealed he was alive. Instead, you just start the movie and it's like, by the way, he's alive.
And I do have to say an honorable mention to Grand Admiral to Grand Moff Tarkin. It's real close to get to 3rd for him. See, Nick, that's how you cheat. You give an honorable mention.
Well, my
Absolutely.
honorable mention would be maybe Bane from the Darth Bane.
Sure.
Just there's Darth.
All right.
Oh shoot!
Well, my characters, I guess I'll do number 1, Luke Skywalker. Kind of like I always tend to go for the very heroic characters. You know, kind of generic, but that's how I roll. Number 2, we'll go with Anakin / Darth Vader. Just a good overall story with him. And number 3, I guess, even though George Lucas would probably get pissed at me, I'll say Mara Jade.
There you go.
I don't think George Lucas is a fan of her. Honorable mention, even though I did say I'm not, there's a lot of stuff in the sequel trilogy I don't like. I do like Finn. I liked him a lot. I'd have to put him as my honorable mention.
Wow.
I was
thought he
ready to
great.
like him.
Well, then I get one. Honorable mention.
Yeah,
Revan. Yeah, I think I'll go
that's a
Revan.
good one too. You haven't played those yet, Sheta.
Okay, I have to.
Played what?
Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, speaking of video games, the second question we'll just ask, what is your favorite Star Wars video game?
Oh, well,
Because there have been
Knights
a
of the Old
lot.
Republic. Oh, wait, no, I take it back. Battlefront 2. I love Battlefront 2. I still play it to the... Not that shitty new one, the classic old school one. And not that shitty re-release of it, the actual classic one.
They did a shitty re-release of it?
Yeah, it was very glitchy from what I heard.
Thinking.
Well, I'll just throw mine out. It's, I guess, my favorite Star Wars game would probably be Rogue Squadron on the Nintendo 64. I played a shit ton of it.
I was thinking that, and I'd probably have to go with that. Yeah, I played that so much.
I know there was still Rogue Leader and stuff, but I never owned a GameCube, so I didn't play it that much.
Rogue Leader was actually very good too.
But honorable
What is it?
mention
Oh, go ahead.
honorable mention game would be Force Unleashed. The first one. That one was just pretty fun. Second one was dumb as shit.
Oh, yeah, honorable mention, I'm going Knights of the Old Republic.
I think I've only ever played a little Force Unleashed, and that's just because I love Sam Witwer, who does Starkiller.
Mhm.
Sheta, you know you want to pick Soul Calibur 4 as your favorite Star Wars game. Because you just
Honestly,
loved
yeah.
him in there so much.
I do.
Well, Sheeta, you've played Lego Star Wars.
I have. I guess. I do. Well, I love Lego games, so I'll probably. And I actually beat that one, so yeah.
Oh no, I take back my honorable mention. Nick, you do yours first, and then I'll see if you're going to take that one. So we don't steal all your games.
I did like Fallen Order, but I think it was more of the gameplay than it was like any story.
Preston?
Yeah.
What?
You said you're gonna change your honorable mention?
Well, Nick gets an honorable mention.
Oh, I was doing that one, I guess.
Oh, that's the honorable mention?
Oh, should it not be?
Huh? I've never played it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll
I heard people liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue Squadron was your main one then?
I will say yes.
Is that one that fun? I never really got to play that one.
30 years ago it was.
Yeah, but Star Wars games tend to hold up pretty well.
I played a lot of it, but I got to a point where there's a mission I could not get past, no matter how many times I tried.
Ooh. Should have used the cheats.
Well, that one did have the cheats in there where the game came out in 1998, but they had cheats in there so you could unlock the Naboo Starfighter a whole year before.
That threw me off.
And they didn't
couldn't understand that.
That wasn't released until after the movie came out. So you had this hidden ship in there the entire time that people didn't know about.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
And the car.
You could drive a car?
Yeah, one of the ships was a car.
The V-Wing gets replaced by a car in missions, but you can't beat the mission because it just freezes, I think.
Oh.
All right, Justin, your honorable mention.
I got to switch my honorable mention to pod racing because I played so much of that game back in the day too.
Yeah.
I played it. Just the difficulty in the later levels just got ridiculous.
Should have turned on the cheat.
It's not an easy game. It's not a fair game. But as a kid, it blew my mind. As a grown-up, not quite as holds up as some of the other ones, though.
Nick, I did use cheats. That's how I had to unlock all the last people, because without them, you had to drive perfectly.
Fair.
All right. Well, I think it's time for us to move on because we've been rambling a long time on this, and we need to get to Mistborn. Now, sadly, Nick, I brought you on. This is, a filler week. Not much happens, just kind of biding time until the climax.
Right, I get it. Maybe I read the wrong chapters, actually. Unless something bigger is happening.
But, so, since Nick's the guest, we will force him to do the recap for last week's episode.
Oh, nice. God.
Yep, and I'm prepared. All right, so Vin goes to the ball at Lacal. She spreads rumors, trying to start a house war, and she and Elend talk, and they're trying to warn each other about dangers, and they kind of ignore each other. He also says that the Venture mines the Adium. So Elend goes home. His friends think that Vin's a spy, and next, so Vin finishes the logbook. And Sazed talks to her, and she tries to burn some of his pewter, and it doesn't work how she wanted. crew looks over the map that Marsh got. So then later, Vin goes to the Venture Ball, and they find out it's the last ball for a while, and everyone's finalizing alliances. Elend dumps Vin. The Gossiper is an informant, says Elend's going to get assassinated. Vin goes to the top of the keep, fights off the assassins, kills Shan. Well, that's that.
Yep. Good job. Point of inspiration.
Nice.
Yeah, now that's a recap.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very thorough.
Recap shouldn't be so thorough, right? Doesn't emphasize my summarizing skills. If it takes that long.
Oh, then I guess you lose your point by your own admission.
Well, we had that now. Now I'll just ask you guys, this week, what'd you think of this week's chapters before we dive deeper into it?
Chapters like this are always hard because I appreciate the writing of them. That's certainly true. But I'm not always so happy with some of the things that happen in them from a fan and reader standpoint. But I'm not supposed to be.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better.
I hated him.
Very, very, very actiony, very cool up to the end, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's always
he's good at those.
Mm-hmm. It's always interesting when you have chapter after chapter of people talking and balls, and then it just turns into a frickin' Matrix sequence all of a sudden.
Yep, and this week we finished part 4 of this book. All right, so if you guys have nothing else to say, then I'll start off with the summaries. So going to chapter 31, we have the epigraph. Other men worry whether or not they will be remembered. I have no such fears. Even disregarding the terrorist prophecies, I have brought such chaos, conflict, and hope to this world that there is little chance that I will be forgotten. I worry about what they will say of me. Historians can make what they wish of the past. In 1,000 years' time, will I be remembered as the man who protected mankind from a powerful evil, or will I be remembered as a tyrant who arrogantly tried to make himself a legend? Any thoughts on that epigraph?
Like I said, my theory about who the Lord Ruler is, I've been adding these to it. So
Oh, you're reverse theorizing? Like you have your theory and now you're just finding evidence to support it?
yes.
That's a dangerous thing to do.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's called confirmation bias.
Yep.
Or I like to call it anti-Sherlocking.
All right, well, let's get into the summaries. So it starts off, and the crew is gathered together at Clubs' shop, joking around with each other, and it's the same night as where the last chapter ended off. Sazed's about to leave and go back to the ball in Vin, but then Vin comes in through the door, bloody and still in her shift, and the crew is all worried about her. And even with that, you get some comedic stuff. Like Dox is worried about the dress, and Breeze is just like, "Who cares about the dress? What about her?" And it's like, someone get her some clothes. Poor little Spook here is about to die.
Yeah, Spook.
Poor Spook.
He's got blood flowing out of his nose and everything.
Gross. Oh, too cute.
And that part I also just kind of like the fact where it's you just had Breeze just ask, he always tries to play himself off as, don't really care, more aloof and just more about himself, but he's the one that's asking, who cares about the dress? What about Vin?
It's
Yeah.
always the guy that acts like that.
He's the biggest sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise he wouldn't be here still. He would have betrayed him a long time ago.
Mm.
All right. So then, and Vin explains that she killed Shan Ilariel, who was a Mistborn. Kelsier questions why she fought Shan, and Vin tells him that she did it because Shan was going to kill Elend. But Kelsier is upset and says that Elend isn't worth it, but Vin says that Elend's a good man. And Kelsier just points out that Elend's a noble, and Vin just snaps at him, saying that so is he. She calls out the crew, saying that they have no idea what being a Ska is really like, that they are just nobles without the titles. And she storms out and goes onto the roof of the building.
I really enjoyed that because, I hadn't thought about it that way, but she's completely correct in what she says there, especially with his hatred of nobles.
Yeah, they definitely have not lived a Ska for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way whenever we learn stuff about them, they've all found like non-conventional lives and ways to live and survive.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one of them that would have been most Ska-like would have been Doc, since he was a plantation Ska.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Even so, it's easy to forget the contrast between the life of relative comfort they live, even though they're doing such dangerous stuff, and the absolute shitty hardship that your Skas have to follow whenever they show us that for a while. And I think Vin's got a perspective on that because, as she says, from, her own life and how shitty that's been, but also from going to the balls so often and seeing the complete contrast where they all fit inside of that.
Yeah, I mean, even she herself would get lost and forget to have perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those parts are really interesting when she's self-reflective in that way that a lot of people aren't.
All right, so then Vin's sitting on the roof. Then Kelsier comes up into the roof and joins her, and he gives a cloak to Vin to put on since she's just sitting up there in her shift. And he asks her why she really is upset. And then she kind of breaks down. She tells Kelsier that Elend said that he doesn't want to see her anymore, and that he had hurt her, but she still went and protected him. And Kelsier tells her they don't stop loving someone just because they hurt you. And Vin confides in Kelsier that she also loved Reen. He would beat her over and over again, but she still loved him. And Vin tells Kelsier that everyone leaves her. She asks if he would leave her, and Kelsier doesn't really have an answer. And Vin can tell that he's hiding something from her. All right, Vin apologizes for what she said earlier, but Kelsier tells her that she's right. They aren't really Ska. Vin says that is all right because they are still using their position in order to help the other Ska. And then Finn finally tells Kelsier that House Venture has a weakness, and she tells him about the ATM. She feels like she betrayed Elend, but she knows that House Venture does have to fall in order for their plan to succeed.
It's interesting to have mixed feelings about this because I could not care less about House Venture. They've done such a good job of making the father just completely irredeemably unlikable. So to have Elend in there, who I actually do care if he, gets over with everything else, it just makes me feel her predicament.
Yeah, I had wondered why she had buried the lead on telling about the ATM mining when she had known at the last ball. I mean, I guess if it weren't for Elend, who honestly, until they gave his inner monologue, I was still skeptical that they're going to turn him, but I don't think you can lie in an inner monologue.
Yeah, same.
So that won me over.
Yeah, until I didn't trust him the entire time. I learned that. I'm like, oh, he's just kind of a simple little philosopher boy.
Yeah, and I think that's by design. Just you're supposed to not know whether he's being truthful or not until that point.
Well, that's true. I never even considered that being the reason. You can stop suspecting him now.
Yeah.
You trusted him from the second he came in, though.
Me? Yeah, it's because I was Vin. Yeah, I was.
She'd have trusted him before he was introduced. When they're going to a ball, she's like, she's going to meet a prince and fall in love.
Yeah, that character
confirmation
needs
bias.
to be.
Well, she did, so.
Good for her,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And then Vin tells Kelsier that she doesn't think that Mare had betrayed him. She believes that the Inquisitors are able to pierce a copper cloud and that they had found them that night because they sensed Mare burning tin. And she explains that she believes this because she had pierced Shan's copper cloud that night. Kelsier tests this out, by putting up a cloud and burning, Allomancy, and Vin's able to sense which Allomancy he's burning through the cloud. Kelsier is incredibly impressed because Allomancers have been trying for centuries, but none have been able to do this. Vin is much more powerful than she should be. Kelsier tells Vin to come back down with him. She's hesitant to face the crew, but he says that if she didn't say something stupid every now and then she wouldn't really fit in. So Vin joins him.
That part was really nice to discover.
The lack of betrayal?
Yeah. I think it would be... It's just so sad to think, or that it was just a mistake, like something like that he thought she betrayed him over misunderstanding.
And I mean, if anyone could break a copper cloud, you'd think the Lord Ruler could.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this was the Inquisitors that they had said broke it, but still.
Then, too, it is true. That makes the Lord Ruler quite sadistic to have said that in front of Kelsier.
I wonder if he did that
doesn't know or care
about.
about.
The way that Vin made it sound is that he thanked her kind of like sarcastically, thanks for leading me right to you, because she was the one.
Oh, you think he didn't even give a thought to what somebody would feel from hearing that, right?
That's what it sounded like how Vin portrayed it, that he was just saying, thanks for revealing yourself, not thanks for intentionally helping me, thanks for accidentally revealing yourself to me. So
All right. What a fun guy.
All right, and then then we switch scenes and we go over to Elend and Jastes Lical. They're sitting in a carriage. And so what happened when that thug had fallen through the ceiling during their meeting? They ran out, and they got into the carriage and, they ran out, and Elend believed that there were a group of Alamantic spies watching his meeting, and that one of them was clumsy and tripped and fell through the ceiling.
Obviously. Couldn't be
just-
anything else.
Oh, God. When
Justin-
you said that, I was like face palming.
I know.
Do you remember last week when I said, maybe he'll just believe somebody tripped and fell? And you're like, no one's that stupid.
Mm.
I did not even remember this scene. I said it as a joke.
Well, it tracks with everything we know about him.
These last couple chapters, it's all been Elend gets a warning about something and brushes it off.
It's kind of like simpleness has been really endearing for me. So
Yeah, his life's been so easy. What do you expect?
he's a simple lad.
Maybe naive, I think I would
Yeah.
say.
Simple's probably
Like,
strong
no one
of a
would.
word.
No one would assassinate me. That just wouldn't happen.
Right, and then, so after that had fallen and they were going to leave, Elend was worried about obligators fighting all their books they had there. So he had Jastes take them. They ran out. They went to the carriage and they left. So while still in the carriage, Felt, one of House Venture's spies, arrives to give Elend some news. And he tells Elend about that, because they had followed, Valette. And he tells them about Clubs' shop and that Valette and Sazed go back there. And that there are a lot of precautions around the shop. So Felt's able to piece it together and figures that it's a thieving crew's base. Elend tells him to pull his men away and to tell nobody about this. And then Elend is elated that Valette is not a spy. She's just a thief and was just trying to rob him. And then he figures that she must be a Ska, and he's excited about that. Because if she was able to pass herself off as a noblewoman, that means that the Ska aren't much different than the nobles, and that they don't deserve to be treated the way that they do.
But he got so excited. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Like, I had a real Ska. His
Couldn't he
dad
have just
probably
gone
didn't
to
know
talk
that.
to some Ska? I mean, like, he's got a lot of power, right? I mean, if they're able to do whatever they want with them, couldn't he take one up to, like, his house for a week and just talk with them for a while?
Maybe for a week. It'd be hard to break them. I don't think they'd be candid right away. I mean, they're just going to say what they think he'd want them to say.
I don't know. You start feeding them and
They
shit,
are.
they'd probably open up quite a bit.
That's fair.
Maybe he's just not that creative.
Or maybe
Just
there's
ask
some
around.
maybe there's some super taboo about that or something. Like the what are they called? The guys who watch everything.
Obligators.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that would do, maybe the obligators would react in some way if somebody started doing that.
And I don't think his father would be really receptive to it. He brings a Ska him. It's like, what are you doing? I'm just talking to the Ska. No.
He could have just lied and said he was gonna rape them.
Oh, that's true
that's
though.
okay.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could.
Carry on.
Oh,
Good
finally!
boy.
I'm so proud, son.
Yeah, see? Like, oh yeah, just another one, Well, then he'd have to kill him after, so maybe not.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe if he did try to form a relationship with one, he knows that they would be killed by somebody very quickly.
Yeah.
So maybe he knows that would be murder to do that.
This is dangerous.
And if it's even worth it, for all he knows, they're not even like normal.
And I don't know if they own many, because isn't it just plantation Ska that are mostly like where they live and stuff?
Yeah, and
Look at
There's
this.
Ska everywhere, aren't there?
The
I think in
cities, they're not.
The city, I haven't really. They're just more like workers and stuff, and they don't
But
really.
can't you
it's not
just grab one?
Well, you can just straight up kill one if you want, or rape one if you
Yeah.
want.
Are the city ones owned? That's my question. Or are they like free game?
All Ska are technically owned by the Lord Ruler, and like the
there you
plantation.
go.
Right, they're leased out.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
remember.
So doing what I said would be stealing from the Lord Ruler, which I assume is a capital offense.
Great way to bring an Inquisitor down on you.
Yeah. All right, well, that's answered. Sorry, Elend.
So then Elend, eventually goes back to his house, and when he's there, he gets brought in to meet with his father. And Stravventure is upset when he sees Elend, and he tells Elend that the Alamancers weren't spies but assassins, and that Shan Ilario was a Mistborn and was killed. And Straff also says the thug that fell through the roof broke his neck and died, but Elend knows that thug was alive when he had seen it.
I was gonna say this bugged me a little, especially when he mentioned Shan, because didn't Vin say that he should watch out for Shan, and he doesn't connect any of this to think Vin warned me Shan's gonna do something. Shan was on my roof. That must have been a coincidence.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, keep in mind now he believes that Vin is a Ska.
True.
And he hears that they hear about Third Mistborn, and Ska Mistborn don't exist. Like the only two that they have ever known that people know about would be Kelsier and Vin, and that's like mythological, and people don't believe that a Ska Mistborn could exist.
I guess it was just to say that Vin seems to have known something, and he didn't even seem to make that connection. The fact that she warned him about Shan and he didn't.
You'd think
I wanted him to say that
that would
too.
be a red flag that this girl's into more than I could ever guess, Especially when it turns out Shan's a Mistborn. That's a big deal,
Yeah.
Who he just waved off as harmless earlier.
Well, he might be.
It's interesting. It's interesting that Elend is so well read and, he thinks so much, but he's not that quick or that clever. It's really fascinating to me. Because I think there's a lot of people like that who, have a lot of book smarts but have no idea how to apply them into their real world life.
Yeah, a lot of the characters have done, I would say, pretty clever things and said clever things, but I don't think I've heard anything from him or any actions. It's pretty straightforward with him.
Even though when you don't know him, he seems really smart and mysterious. Once you start to know him, you're like, oh, he's not acting aloof to be cool. He just is like that.
All right, and then Straff also mentions there was a report about a third Mistborn that fought off the other two, but he doesn't believe it because he can't comprehend why a Mistborn would try to save Elend. And that would be the end of chapter 31.
I wanted to say the comparison was really funny too with Elend thinking people were after him and his friends, and he's like, "Oh shoot, I gotta hide my books." And I was like, "Well, meanwhile, Vin murders a girl she knew, like right outside." Like the difference between what he's worried about, it reminds me of like a college kid like hiding their beers or their drugs or something like, while like something more serious is happening.
There's an assassin outside.
Yeah.
To be fair, those books were part of the plan to set up the whole house, so it was at least useful to think that way.
Yeah,
he's not those books, that stupid.
Those books being found by the Obligators probably would have gotten Elend executed.
I guess so.
But that shows how careless he is to even bring him around in the first place.
Right, and put him in plain sight at the balls.
And the part where he leaves him at the table, Jesus.
And leaves, and the other servant was like starting to look at him the other time before Vin came back.
But he had a fake slip sleeve on the cover, I believe, right? So that was his.
Yeah, that's good.
Hiding
it. Yeah. See, we should have known right there what this guy was like. But then back then, I thought he had some Machiavellian plan to be caught on purpose or something.
Yeah, like maybe he was trying to low key let Vin know that.
Yeah, that's what I thought at the time, but no.
No, I just forgot or didn't think.
Anything else in this chapter you guys want to go over?
I also like how Elend's guards were all awkward around him and stuff. Like, I wonder if they knew that he was supposed to be killed.
Well, I don't know. I doubt they'd be put in the loop because they were probably going to be killed too, if this went through correctly.
What if they're like, but what if his dad was like, okay, I'm sending these Mistborn to kill my son, so just get out of their way or something, I just wonder.
I don't know.
Because what the guards are supposed to guard him. It just makes sense.
Maybe if they're really in on it, they would have. Once the guy fell through the ceiling, they should have said, "Oh, that's nothing to worry about. We should just stay right here." I think they ran.
Believed them. That's the question.
Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah,
don't pay attention to the guy that just fell through the ceiling.
Well, if you say so.
He just tripped. He's fine. Doesn't Elend's dad have some powers? Or is that
he's a tin eye.
Oh, okay.
As I know, and it's mentioned in the past, and I can't remember if it was this past chapter or the one before it, Elend mentions that there's no point in like trying to sneak into the house because his dad will know that he's there.
Oh God, I would hate for my parents to have be a 10-eye. Like, did you sneak in through the window last night? I know you did.
Okay, so now on to chapter 32, Epigraph. Though many terracemen express a resentment of Clenium, there is also envy. I have heard the packmen speak of the wonders. I have heard the packmen speak in wonder of the Cleni cathedrals with their amazing stained glass windows and broad halls. They also seem very fond of our fashion. Back in the cities, I saw that many young terracemen had traded in their furs and skins for well-tailored gentlemen's suits.
Sheta, this is the one that almost got me thinking on your theory.
Oh, what? Yeah, right?
That he's not who he says.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough to outright believe it, but I could see it being foreshadowing.
Yeah, a slow transformation, like caveman to a modern day man, but with the...
Like a caveman, Jesus.
Yeah, but they turned into nobles. The terracemen, like, slowly transform into our modern day nobles. Yep.
Yeah, but the one you said, though, was Rashik, and he's the one that just hates them with a passion.
It's who?
Unless he hates them because he wants to be them so much.
Oh, yeah, he hates them because well, it's just different now because he's worried about them revealing that secret.
Wait, he doesn't have that plan that far ahead. If your theory is true.
Back then, he hated the Kaleni people, which is what.
Is that what terracemen are?
I think.
No, because you had the Kaleni, which is who the Lord Ruler is from, and he's the one that's writing the journal and everything, and he's the hero of ages. And then Rashik is a Terrace, and he's like the leader of the packmen. He hates the Kaleni.
Okay, yeah, the Kaleni are the current Ska. Then that's what I'm saying.
Wait, what? Where did that come from?
Because after
you've been adding to your theory and not telling me, Sheta.
It's the same theory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just says he's turned them into the Ska.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, so chapter begins and Vin leaps up onto a roof where Spook is at. And he is watching House Hastings be taken down by other noble houses. And now this is the third noble house that has been destroyed. And while they're watching, Vin thinks about the plan, and she doesn't know how it could succeed. The garrison will be back in a week or two, and even if they don't take down the final empire, it will take decades for the aristocracy to recover. And Vin thinks about how the information Marsh has gotten from the ministry, and also Sage's translation of the Lord Ruler's journal, can be used in the future by other rebellions. So even if they fail now, they still have accomplished something great. And then Vin tells Spook that Elend had rejected her. And Spook looks hopeful for a moment, but then she says that she is still in love with Elend, so she cannot return Spook's feelings.
Oh, I'm so sad.
And he says that he always knew it would turn out like this, but Vin still asked him if she could keep his handkerchief, and because it still means a lot to her. And then next, Vin asks...
I think I was like, yeah, whatever. You can keep it.
That's pretty much what he said.
Uh-huh.
And then Vin asks Spook to teach her about being a tin eye. And pretty much what he equates to is he tells her that it's about being able to tune out what you don't want to focus on. Because when you're using a tin eye, everything becomes heightened, so you need to be able to focus on certain things while pushing others to the side.
I really love all this Spook talking part is my favorite.
Right?
And not in the scene.
Yeah, I liked when she translates to herself, I'm pretty sure that's what he just told me.
Probably meant that. And that was good for me because I couldn't really I didn't trust myself to translate it, so I'm glad she...
Same here.
...comprehended it.
A lot of times when Spook talks, I rely on everyone else to tell me what he's saying from the context.
Yep.
So you're pretty much Breeze.
More or less.
Nodding of the scene up in the upper with the lesser... What?
It's cute.
All right, so then next, Kelsier arrives, and he and Vin, they leave to go meet with Marsh. And on their way there, Kelsier thanks Vin for telling him about Mare, and that he chooses to fully believe that she didn't betray him. And then they decide to stop at a ska tenement, which is run down and it's filled with a lot of ska. And Vin looks in amazement at all the ska, knowing that she used to live like this. And Kelsier goes in, he has his sleeves rolled up so his scars are showing, and the ska are elated to see Kelsier. And they call him the Survivor, and they also call him the Lord of the Mists, which is a new one. And Kelsier gives the ska the news that House Hastings has fallen. He will bring food to the ska, and to repay them, all they need to do is stand up straighter and be less afraid.
But it was sad that when they heard that, a lot of them just freaked out. Like, where are we going to get food from now? Like, the ones that worked for Hastings?
That's your biggest problem, trying to rally people to your cause, is they're completely dependent on the nobles for even the basic necessities.
Mm-hmm.
So then Vin and Kelsier, they leave, and Vin asks about the ska meeting, and he says that he stops at a couple tenements each night in order to break up his work, because otherwise it's just mundane, just going and killing nobles all.
Oh yeah.
And so they keep going, and then they arrive at the meeting place where they're going to meet with Marsh. But when they go in the building, they just find a room just covered in blood, with Marsh's corpse in the middle of the room, flayed, dismembered, and the skull crushed.
That was even more sudden to read than how you just summed it up. It felt like very real. Like you're just like, something's wrong, and then you're like, well, he's dead,
One of those you had to go back and reread a couple times because you figured you missed something.
I felt like I had read that wrong for sure.
I didn't believe it too like the first time.
Well, the whole book I've been wondering, Marsh hasn't been worked on that much, So I kept wondering, what's his role in the story going to be long term? I don't know why I didn't see this coming sooner. It seems so obvious now that he's there for this exact purpose.
Yeah, and he's one in the most dangerous position of all the people.
See, that's why I thought he was fine, because usually that guy is weirdly fine for a long time,
And his last few appearances, there have been hints, because it's talking like, oh, yep, the other people, they've been really paying attention to me, and I think I'm being watched by the Inquisitor. It's like it kept building up each time he showed up.
I just thought he was being cautious.
Yeah, and I just believe that they were interested in him because he was so talented.
Just like
maybe I'm naive.
Venture was a good guy.
Yes. Yes, maybe I'm the naive one.
Alright. So then, seeing all this, Kelsier freezes, and Vin has to snap him out of it, telling him that this was recent, and an Inquisitor may be nearby. And before they leave, they find a wooden lake with a note with it. With a note inside, so they take it. Alright. So then, back at Clubs' shop, Dox is reading the note aloud. It's from Marsh, and it's saying that the Inquisitors may be onto him. He has been asking too many questions about them. He knows that there must be a weakness, but he doesn't know it. The Obligators care about their prestige, but the Inquisitors are far more loyal to the Lord Ruler, and the Inquisitors have been following him.
Well, I think he may have been onto something there.
When things like this happen, I just don't want to believe that it is, and that maybe it's a trick.
You saw his body.
Yeah, but maybe it's not his body. Maybe it's a trick.
Well, his skull was crushed, but...
That is true.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it was crushed and flayed, so maybe it's not Marsh. Maybe it's just a different person.
But what about
that does make it hard to recognize. Yeah, that
could have been forged. Or maybe they made him write it.
But what purpose would they have to fake that?
Just to mess with Kelsier?
Just to mess with him? Don't you think, Sheta, if that was the case, that they would be there waiting, if they knew somebody was coming like that?
Really, more of the question is, what purpose would they have to leave him alive if they just wanted to mess with Kelsier? Why wouldn't they just kill him then?
I have a theory on that.
Oh.
Don't we share it now?
Let's wait until the prediction segment.
Okay.
All right, so then Kelsier tells Dox to have Renew pull out. Use the excuse of the house war for a reason to leave the area. And then, have Renew in them. They should ditch the canal boats after a day and then return to Luth. Because Kelsier says that the Inquisitors would have broken Marsh before they killed him. And Marsh knew everything about the plan. So Kelsier wants the shop evacuated within 15 minutes and to have everyone go to the second hideout that only he and Dox knows about. And Kelsier will meet them there in 2 days. And then Kelsier's quote, "They hit me where it couldn't have hurt worse. I'm going to do likewise."
For some reason, I didn't immediately interpret what that was going to mean, even though it seems obvious.
I just thought he was going to go punch the Lord Ruler in the balls. I'm going to hit him where it hurts.
And that's where it would hurt most, just punching the balls.
He found out from the journals that was his weak spot. He just didn't tell anyone yet.
And then we get another point of view change. The new main character of the story, Wallen. And Wallen is a Ska prisoner at the Pits of Hathsin. And he goes into terrifying caverns, and eventually he finds a geode. And you just hear all sorts of stuff about it going down there, getting cut, finding dead bodies, but that's just how it is. And then as he is leaving the pit, he sees Kelsier outside, and Kelsier helps him up. Kelsier tells Wallen that most of the guards are dead, that he should take that geode and break it. The metal inside can get him enough money to live well for years. And then the point of view goes back into Kelsier, and Kelsier, he climbs down into the pits. And pushing or pulling on the ATM crystals would shatter them and destroy the ATM. And this is why they use slaves and not allomancers to collect the ATM. This area is the only area to produce ATM in the entire Final Empire. And so the Pits had tried to destroy Kelsier in the past, so now he will return the favor.
I really liked before they did this getting to see the POV of a guy who's living that nightmare, who's not like Kelsier remembering or some badass guy who had this whole epic story of I'll live for her and that stuff, but just a guy who's trying to get by day to day, seeing the bodies, not caring. I liked when he talks about he's glad he doesn't see anyone coming because it's very likely that somebody would kill him to take his
geode.
The thing he found, geode, yeah. I like getting to see that hopelessness, and even though I knew he was going to come up and Kelsier was going to be there, it was really interesting to see his what the fuck's going on kind of thing. I would have liked to follow that guy more. I'm curious about what he gets up to after this. Just because he
even
seems
has a
pretty
plan.
simple, but like a survivor.
But that was a good point, I will say. But yeah. That he's like, all right, sell that. You can live off of that for a while. Like, he's going to go off and have his own little life. Wonderful to see him again.
I hope so. I liked him.
And also, this small section, it is something where there's a slight difference depending on which printing of the book you'd have. Because I know, like, the first printings, so the audiobook would also have from the first printing, it just said using allomancy near the crystals breaks them. But later printings, it switched it to pushing or pulling on them broke them. So that way, it's not like burning tin or something like that would break them.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it because I had the former. I thought you could just burn tin or anything nearby and it would just shatter. I guess the latter makes a little more sense, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know exactly when it got changed because I heard this on a different podcast where they pointed it out.
I'm pretty sure mine said pushing and pulling.
Kind of like while I was listening to that podcast, because some of them had newer copies, some of them had older ones, and they would notice it's never anything major. It's never anything that's plot changing. It's just a couple small differences here and there depending on the printing. Like Grant Sanderson would decide to add in a line.
I usually don't like tweaks to books once they're out, but that one is interesting because it's probably something people asked him about many times, And he was like, "Ah, God damn it."
So what's the new official way? Is it pulling and pushing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like then you could still use pewter to get down there and get out.
And then then you'd use the because you'd be able to use the stuff in order to like the tin or the sense to be able to get around easier and the pewter to heal better, and it's not going to destroy the stuff. It's just the pushing and pulling.
That other one that just detects where metal is nearby?
Yeah. That's how he's able to tell where the crystals are, is by using the...
Oh, yeah.
Copper?
So basically, you've just got to ruin your hands to get it out, right? You can do everything else, but you can't. You have to reach into that little nightmare hole.
You'd think they could have in the mines at least one misting that could just point, hey, there's metal over there, go get it.
Yeah, but if they're getting an amount that's enough for their needs, why would they invest in that? If they're going at the bare minimum.
They're just
and they don't want people to know about it.
Oh yeah, that's too,
true.
Yeah.
Especially Mistborn who would use it or value it.
You don't, because then mistings would imply then that's more nobles, and you want as few of those there. That's why they use prisoners that they send down there to die.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought misting only has one ability. Does it have to be one of the main 8? Are there mistings that can only burn atium?
Yeah, it's one of the 8.
Okay. Because that would suck. You wouldn't probably ever know you were a misting if you could only burn atium.
Yeah. Couldn't there be? Maybe there is ones, though. Just like you're saying, that would never find out and they'd never encourage you to,
There could be mistings then that could only burn gold, and they probably would know about that.
I was thinking of a misting who can only burn the 11th metal.
And
he'd never find out.
Anything else in this chapter you guys want to go over?
No.
All right. So we'll go on to chapter 33. Epigraph. We are close now. Oddly, this high in the mountains, we seem to finally be free from the oppressive touch of the deepness. It has been quite a while since I knew what that was like. The lake that Fedek discovered is below us now. I can see it from the ledge. It looks even more eerie from up here with its glassy, almost metallic sheen. I almost wish I had let him take a sample of its waters. Perhaps his interest is what anchored the mist creature that follows us. Perhaps that is why it decided to attack him, stabbing him with its invisible knife. Strangely, the attack comforted me. At least I know that since another has seen it, that means I'm not mad.
You know, I really thought we were going to see more of those mist wraiths in this book. I'm starting to think I might never see them again, or maybe just one time at the end.
Is that, we think that's what he's referring to here, that when he says mist creature?
I guess that's how I interpret it. I guess it could be anything. It could be a Mistborn even.
It says stabbing him, and the way they described the mist wraith doesn't sound like something that would stab.
I had this very vivid image of just a frickin' like mantis claw thing stabbing at, but I think I've been drawing too much nonsense shit. I think your thing makes a lot more sense, actually.
But yes, I also would like to see.
Oh yeah.
Well, just cool. Like vague claw. I do a lot of body horror stuff, so just like vague claws that come out. I was very vividly imagining this. But no, that makes a lot more sense.
Pierce him, not stab.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. That's correct. That's all correct. I think I was the dumb one there.
I will bring back up, from what chapter was this? Chapter 29, when Vin was reading the Lord Ruler's journal, and the journal mentions that Fedek had been stabbed by a creature or by a figure made out of mist.
Oh yeah, now I remember that. Yeah.
And I know some of the earlier epigraphs had it. The Lord Ruler was talking about, he's being followed by something in the mist. Something.
Yeah. I guess I just want to see him again so much. I'm just putting him in there and not even there at all.
All right, so starting the chapter proper. So the crew is waiting in the new safe house, which is a small 3-room, pretty much like a pit in the ground. And Spook isn't there because he had been sent with Renew, so figured to send the best Tin Eye with them. And they are discussing the plan and how it is pretty much finished now. They do feel like it was at least worth it because there are now hundreds of nobles dead because of the house war, and there is also an interruption in trade and disorder in the government.
It's like, Jesus, this house...
What was that you pretty much cut out there?
Oh, I was saying this house war could pretty much be its own book. It sounds so epic, and it's just happening over there. Hundreds dead. You know how it is.
3 great houses down.
Uh-huh. It's funny when that's the background thing.
And Kelsier returns, and he's showing some signs of pewter dragging. And they ask him what he did, and he tells them that he destroyed the Pits of Hathsin. All right, yeah, but pretty much when Kelsier tells him he destroyed the Pits of Hathsin, I just had to go with it because Breeze's reaction, you think by now we'd have learned not to underestimate him.
Yeah, I like how their response is, oh, what'd you do, this or that? And then he says that, and they're like, well, yeah, that makes sense now that I think about it. They're not like, oh, God, no.
I thought their reactions were pretty nonchalant.
Yeah, did you kill someone? Did you, these pretty big things, All
right, so now Kelsier is going to sleep, and he says that they will discuss how to proceed with the plan tomorrow. And the crew is confused as to what they could even do, and Kelsier just says, they'll talk tomorrow. All right, so then we have Vin meeting with Sazin. She asks him about the 11th medal, and he says that he has never heard of the legend of the 11th medal, but that doesn't mean that it isn't true, because there could very well be plenty of stuff that keepers don't know about, because that's what their job is, to find that. And then an apprentice named Tace comes in and says they're gathering people in the fountain square for executions. It's retribution for the Pits of Hathsin. And Kelsier
is when that little guy talked normal and not like Spooks.
Oh yeah.
He's like, hey, something's happening in the square. Yeah, I was like, oh, not Spook.
Well, Spook's from outside Luthadel because he has Eastern street slangs people.
Oh, I know.
Street slang, yeah.
She's just used to their little info guy.
Yeah, he's usually the one to be like, something happening in the square. That's usually what he said.
Mm-hmm.
But since he was with Renew, he wasn't there to do that job. Because that was one of the little tin eyes that was on the lookout that came in.
And then Kelsier is adamant about going to watch because this is happening because of what he did. And they get close to where the prisoner carts are coming, so Kelsier goes up onto a roof to watch, and the others go up to join them. And you can see that Kelsier wants to go down and save the prisoners. There are no Inquisitors nearby, because they're not at the square yet, so they're probably over there. And there are only a couple hundred guards. And then as they're looking, Breeze notes that the prisoners are too well dressed, and Kelsier curses and jumps off the roof. Vin burns tin and sees Spook in one of the carts.
Oh no! It was so sad to hear that. Little babies.
So I need to ask Justin, because you've been adamant that you thought Spook would die ever since he had like the whole love stuff with Vin. When she saw him there, did you figure he was going to die here?
I thought that when she was letting him down gently and having that moment, I was like, oh, Spooks is fucked. Was exactly what I was thinking. Like this nice little moment. Like, no, he is fucked. When this happened, then I was like, well, the only way he'd die here is either somebody cannot save him in time, or they are forced to watch him get executed, which I didn't think they would do. So ironically, having him in there is when I stopped worrying that he was going to die.
Your words have been haunting me this whole time. I thought that same thing when they had their moment. I was like, no, don't even try to set that up right now.
Once they put a character in explicit danger, that's when I stop worrying about them as much usually. Which sometimes, they do on purpose to, trick you, but good writing keeps you on your toes. What's that?
It must be nice going through the book thinking everybody's going to die and then just being, when they don't die, it's nice.
But you know how many books I'll read or movies I'll watch where the second I'm like, okay, I think they're okay. Boom, that's when it happens.
And burned too many times.
Yep.
Do you remember Justin's prediction last week? The thing when I asked him, how's the book going to end? He said, everyone except Vin and Kelsier will die.
Yep.
And we see how that goes. All right. So then Vin runs out and she catches up to Kelsier and tries to stop him. The prisoners, they're all people they had hired at Renew's mansion. And Kelsier cannot let them die. Vin says they are too well guarded and that he'll just get himself killed. But Kelsier runs off anyways. Vin tries to plead with Dox to stop him, but Dox says that they aren't helpless either. Pretty much Kelsier, because since they're his people and they have friends and stuff, he's not just going to let them die like the army, So Kelsier attacks the guards and he does stuff like pushing off their armor, and he rips the door off of one of the carts, freeing those prisoners. Then he comes face to face with an Inquisitor and hundreds more Haze Killer guards. This was all a trap. And it's the same Inquisitor from before, and he asks for Vin. And Kelsier does his best to keep himself out of reach of the Inquisitor, and he uses metal parts of the carts to attack the Haze Killers. And then Ham shows up with one of their soldier units, and they start attacking the guards.
That was a badass moment.
Once again, I'll have to ask you there, since from the beginning of the book you were adamant Ham would die. Now that they're in a battle with Ham in there, were you convinced he was going to die in this area?
Second he ran out, I thought was Ham's dead. He's just dead. So Spooks I stopped being worried about, but Ham I was like, no, he's gone. This whole thing is too desperate and sad,
Yeah, at this point, I'd say anyone who was in the fray, I was accepting that they could die, except for Kelsier and Vin.
Yep. It was a possibility, but definitely not those two, for sure.
All right. And then Vin, Dox, and Breeze are watching the action, and Dox reassures Vin, saying that Kelsier only needs to stall the Inquisitor until they're able to free all the prisoners. And then Vin notices that Breeze is busy soothing some of the guards, just pretty much getting rid of all their emotions except fear, so that way they are too afraid to fight and they run off. So Vin asks him how she can help. Now we go back to Kelsier, and he's fighting with the Inquisitor, and he's still staying out of his range. Then he notices that Elend Venture has arrived, and he's looking for Valette Renew.
Elend.
And then Kelsier wants to
shows a lot, because this is quite a risk for him to do. If he doesn't know all this crazy shit, But to go and demand somebody be free like that from his perspective and his cushy little life, I think that's a pretty ballsy, risky thing to do.
Yeah, even if there wasn't a battle going on, to demand to free a ska that he liked.
Yeah.
It's very heroic of him, yeah. And shows he's a man of action, too.
Of course. Yeah. And a man of
He's
impulse.
got a little.
You know.
He had a little baton thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he can fight.
We don't know yet.
They never mentioned it.
Yep, I've seen what he does.
That's cheating.
No, I'm not saying in the future. I'm saying what we've seen so far.
I've not seen him fight.
What about what he's done so far in the story makes you think that he'd be a good fighter?
We have not seen any context or situation where he would have to fight, and he doesn't.
All he did is a guy fell through the ceiling, he screamed like a little girl and ran away. That's all we know.
He did not scream like a little girl.
Didn't say that he didn't.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Well, until he's like, oh, I can't fight, and Vin's like, I got you. I'm gonna, he hasn't revealed it yet.
I'm pretty sure that was the last section we read.
Right.
Still brave of him.
Kelsier. All right, so Kelsier wants the Inquisitor to say focus on himself until the prisoners are freed. But then the Inquisitor casually decapitates a fleeing prisoner. And he grabs another one, but Kelsier yells no. Kelsier steps forward and prepares to fight the Inquisitor head on. And that's the end of that chapter.
And that's the last chapter we read.
Oh no.
In fact, the book is over. Continued, right?
No.
Oh no.
Someone
Was
just
there a
ripped
point
up.
of view shift to the next chapter?
What's that?
I was wondering if there's a point of view shift to the next chapter, because I feel like this is the first time they've cut a chapter in the middle of the same setting with the same characters a moment later.
I think you might be right. There is a view shift, isn't there? Because we jump from Kelsier to...
No, it jumps from Kelsier to Kelsier. It's the same scene.
Interesting.
But I think it's sort of like the end of Elantris, when you're getting to the end of the book, everything's happening faster, so you're going to get stuff like that.
It's like a weird TV commercial break. Like, felt
right.
in the middle of the height of action.
As long as it's not one of the ones where the commercial comes back and then you replay the last 30 seconds before the commercial.
That's what it felt like.
Those...
Like, then, and then back, then, same scene. Okay, now we're gonna fight. No, it was good. I still liked it.
Anything else in this chapter you guys want to go over?
Well, let's make sure to go over as much as possible so we don't have to move on.
Yeah. Can we just call it done
I've got nothing
today?
else.
No.
I feel the next chapter also has the coolest parts of the book.
It truly does. For action-wise,
Mm-hmm.
these are the kinds of chapters that make me want them to make an adaptation.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Oh, yeah. If
That's
they
true.
do it well, this could be really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I keep thinking of video
Alright.
game cutscenes though, like in was it Witch Killer or that King Assassin one, Justin?
Huh?
That King Assassin video game.
You mean The Witcher?
No. Oh
What
my
King
god.
Assassin
Yes.
game?
I'm sorry.
Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, Witcher 2, right? Sheta? Assassin
Yeah, I
of
think
Kings or whatever.
Oh my god. I watched that before I read Witcher, so I didn't know that was
I think
Witcher.
that's what
crazy.
inspired you to go read Witcher, wasn't it? Because you thought that was such a cool opening sequence.
Well, I didn't know it was a book series at the time, so.
I see.
But anyway, that's how I imagine these chapters, like a really cool video game.
Oh yeah, you do it like
cutscene
that, that'd be
opening.
fucking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so we'll go on to the last chapter we're doing today, chapter 34. So, epigraph. I never wanted to be feared. If I regret one thing, it is the fear I have caused. Fear is the tool of tyrants. Unfortunately, when the fate of the world is in question, you use whatever tools are available. All right. So this chapter, we jump right back into Kelsier and the Inquisitor fighting. And pretty much the battle, they are pushing and pulling off the armor of soldiers as they move around through the air. At one point, the Inquisitor throws a cage from one of the carts at Kelsier, and he jumps inside of it and pushes out at it, breaking it apart. And then Kelsier notices that archers are about to shoot at the escaping prisoners. So he pushes and pulls metal rods from the cage up, and he pretty much turns them into windmills, which break apart the arrows as they fly by. That part with the arrows just makes me think of the one scene from the Hobbit battle the 5 armies at the very beginning of the battle when the dwarves and the elves are facing off. Elves shoot all their arrows. Dwarves just shoot these things that are just like flying windmills. They just break all the arrows.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was very cool, and it also answered a question I didn't know I had, and that was that you can push and pull on. It's not you're not pushing on the entire piece. You can push on parts of it.
Yeah, it's just something that would take a lot of skill in order to do properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kelsier, he loses sight of the Inquisitor, and he sees the final cart get unlocked, and that's the one with Renew and Spook inside. As Renew gets out, Elend grabs him and asks where Valette is. Then the Inquisitor leaps out from behind some soldiers and buries an axe in Renew's back. And then the Inquisitor is about to kill Elend.
I was horrified for a Renew fan. A big Renew fan, so I was horrified for this part. I was so mad at Elend. Are you really? Yeah, he's so weird.
I've never heard you say that. Surprise.
My favorite one chapter.
He might have been a. I don't think he was your favorite one chapter. He might have been a close one because I don't have it written down as a favorite.
Oh, Elend, he's so funny.
Yeah.
Hey, but this was it. This was pretty brave of him even to run out into the fold like this. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. He's a little hero wannabe.
Alright. So then the Inquisitor is about to kill Elend when Kelsier thinks that she loves him. So he pushes against some soldiers and launches him directly at the Inquisitor. And then he winds up tackling the Inquisitor and begins strangling it. And he can see that the Inquisitor does in fact fear for its life. And the Inquisitor, is able to use his strength and he pulls apart Kelsier's hands. And then it pushes itself away and it hits a corpse and flips up from his back onto his feet. I thought that would be a really cool thing. Just sliding backwards, hits a corpse, flip up onto.
Yeah, he's pretty good at describing these. A lot of times in books when they do action sequences, I do kind of glaze over because, I can't see it. But he's very good at walking me through it so I can see it in my head very, very clearly.
Sometimes he goes into very big detail. Sometimes I have to reread to really visualize every little thing that's happening.
Yeah, because there is a lot of detail, more than I'm used to for books for action, for sure. Because usually they're just creative. And creative, yeah.
I know it's the sort of thing that's a lot, like the action sequences I feel are a lot easier to follow reading than listening to it. Because reading, you can slow down easily, like go back to understand it. With the audiobook, Michael Kramer just keeps on talking. So you're like, oh crap, what'd you say? And go back 15 seconds.
Really? I like it being read. I was like, I guess usually for the action scenes, I just sit and really listen. Like, I don't do anything else.
Yeah, but you listen to a lot of books too, right? Sheta?
I guess I have experience as a good listener.
And then Kelsier looks over at Renew, who still has the axe in his back. And he winds up nodding at Renew, and Renew sighs and drops down to the ground. So, Justin, were you still worried about Renew there?
I don't know what to think about Renew. I don't know what the rules are. I think somebody says that in a couple paragraphs.
I hope he's okay.
Okay, so then Ham yells over the crowd, and Kelsier tells him to go, and that Renew is dead. And the Inquisitor says that Kelsier had promised him a fight, or must he kill more Ska? And Kelsier thinks that he has always wondered if he could take an Inquisitor. And then we go over to Vin and Dox, who are watching everything, and Vin says that Renew is down. And Dox says that it may or may not be fatal. It may or may not be fatal. He doesn't know a lot about Kandra.
Yeah, exactly what I was feeling.
And Vin's like, Kandra? What the fuck? And then Vin notes that all the prisoners are free. She also says there are a lot of Ska. Thousands have come from the Fountain Square to see what is happening. So we jump back to Kelsier and the Inquisitor who are fighting. And Kelsier, pretty much in this fight, he winds up making a ring of weapons around himself with all sorts of metal. And he just keeps attacking the Inquisitor with it. And as Vin watches, she realizes that this was Kelsier's specialty. He is best at with pushing and pulling the metals, and that is what he has personally trained her on the most. And
yeah, that's interesting because people have been saying, that people only focus on that stuff and kind of acting like that's not as good to do. But when she's watching him here, she sees it's not just that he only focuses on that. That is his skill. That is the thing he excels at so much. So I felt like that was kind of a badass moment for him from her perspective.
Yep, and Kelsier, he keeps hitting the Inquisitor with objects, and he asks if he was the one who killed Marsh, and if he was the one who had captured him years ago. And eventually, the Inquisitor makes a very strong push, and it pushes away all of Kelsier's weapons. But then Kelsier picks up a loose cobblestone and charges. He smashes the Inquisitor again and again in the eyes with the cobblestone, and pretty much nails the Inquisitor to a cart by the eye spikes.
That's funny.
And I think, I don't know if you mentioned, they're both burning A-Team, of course, so it was kind of useless. But then he used it against him in such a interesting way, just having so many visions. It just kind of, the way I saw it, kind of clouded his sight. Just so many things coming at him, or possibilities of things coming at him.
I like Vin did this last time where they used the ATM in a different way to kind of, you know, like just thinking they've got it too. I've got to outthink them, you know.
So it was, wasn't he was flying through the air too, right? As far as what I could see, like pushing on one set of people and bouncing over and pushing on another set and swirling everything around him, kind of. Oh, yeah, and you, I mean, you're summarizing, but there was also the part where he grabbed a soldier, he moved himself to the side as he pulled him, and the guy essentially kind of like orbited him. I don't know if I interpreted it right, but he made the guy like whip around him, because if you're pulling on something that's moving, you know, at an angle perpendicular to you, then it's gonna spin around you and like orbiting.
Yeah,
I loved
how that would be fun to see. I would love.
Yeah.
I loved how the soldiers were just being used as like objects in this battle by both of them. Like nobody cared about the soldiers.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I want to see this whole fight.
Yeah, because you have the soldiers either on the one end, they're being used as weapons by Kelsier and the Inquisitor, and at the other end, they're having to fight Cam and his whole army.
And they're being soothed by Breeze.
Yep. The other ones are, and probably Vin too. She's probably helping Breeze, just making them all scared. And Kelsier with all this metal just floating around him, just makes me think of like Zaldin from Kingdom Hearts, just with all his wind and spears flying around. All right. So the Inquisitor, he's pretty much stuck to this cart by his spikes, and Kelsier picks up an axe and he decapitates the Inquisitor, killing it. Body falls, head still stuck to the cart.
I mean, assumedly killing it. It's hard to say with
a
these
little
guys.
Confirmation later.
Yeah, we do. I think so. Yeah.
And then
But here I was wondering, was the body going to get up and attack him? You know.
And then all the ska in the area, they begin to shout Kelsier's name. And there are soldiers surrounding Kelsier, but the soldiers that soon realize that they themselves are surrounded by all these ska. And Kelsier can feel the anger and the hope coming from the ska. And then an oppressive soothing goes over everyone. And a single black carriage is moving towards them. The Lord Ruler has arrived.
You could probably stop right here.
Yeah. End of chapter. How epic. Wow. I wonder how they'll get out of this one.
Yeah, how exciting for next time.
I had the same thought. There's not much, unless he immediately ran. I couldn't think of a way they would be getting out of this one. Because it's
not with
definitely
this much
too early to take
left.
him out.
Exactly, yeah.
So I wasn't feeling good about it.
And they're watching it, and Vin is wondering why Kelsier isn't running. And Doc says that this is what they've been waiting for. Kelsier has always said that the Lord Ruler was his task. He will now use the 11th metal and kill him. And then the Lord Ruler steps out of the carriage. He is tall, thin, and confident, with pale skin and jet black hair. He's wearing a suit of white and black with an incredibly long tailcoat, or incredibly long coat length that touches the ground, and his fingers have rings on it. He also looks young, younger than Kelsier.
That was the weirdest part to me, that young thing. I didn't expect that. I thought he'd look like, ancient,
like Voldemort.
I think all the characters were kind of surprised at his plain appearance, but this is pretty much exactly what I expected. I mean, he is immortal. He probably just looks however he'd want to look.
Yeah, but I thought he was immortal like a corrupted evil thing is immortal. That's how I imagine it. Sure. I guess I imagined he'd come out looking a bit like the Emperor, basically. Not like this dashing, handsome young man,
Yeah,
like
I like it.
Shang Tsung in the first Mortal Kombat game.
I think I always imagine like the God Emperor from Warhammer, who's like all majestic too. Not this like kind of regular noble looking guy either.
I'm excited to cast him.
All right. So then, as the Lord Ruler is walking towards Kelsier, some rebels get in his way, and a thug stabs him in the chest with a spear, but the Lord Ruler just keeps on walking. So the thug stabs the Lord Ruler in the back with another spear, but the Lord Ruler doesn't even notice. And then some Inquisitors show up, and they begin hacking those rebels apart.
Oh, God. That was so sad to me. The hacking more than anything.
And then the Lord Ruler walks up to Kelsier, and he looks over at the dead Inquisitor, and he says, "Those are very hard to replace." And then the Lord Ruler...
I think that's where we could tell that he probably killed it.
That was the confirmation I needed, yeah.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, if it's not dead, it can't do things anymore.
It's broken.
Yeah.
I like the way where he's not angry or anything. He just looks out of it. Those are hard to replace.
Well, even when they say, this guy thinks on scales we can't fathom, they're like, what's it going to take, like 300 years for the atrium to reform down there, you know? I guess from his perspective, he's just, like, moderately annoyed.
Well, also, he's got a huge audience, and I think him showing that he's angry kind of would take away from his all-powerfulness.
Yeah, I wonder, too. I wonder how much of this is showmanship and how much of it is genuine. That's a good question.
And then the Lord Ruler, he looks at Kelsier and he notes that he had killed Kelsier before. And Kelsier says that he had tried, but he is what the Lord Ruler could never kill. I am hope. Then the Lord Ruler backhands Kelsier, crushing his face, and Kelsier falls, blood coming. Then the Lord Ruler pulls one of the spears out of his body and slams it through Kelsier's chest. And, let the executions begin. And the Lord Ruler walks away, pulls out the other spear, and just tosses it aside.
Kelsier, you shouldn't have said you were hope. He's only got one thing to do with the hope.
True. That I definitely had to reread. I was like, I didn't read that correctly, did I?
I mean, it was just backhanded. With that spear to the chest, other people survived that.
Yeah. Even then, I'm thinking, how's Kelsier going to get out of this one?
Until they said there wasn't much left of the left side of his face.
Yeah, that did it too. That was a big
Okay.
graphic. Jesus Christ.
All right, we'll go to the last little section. So then Vin jumps out to Kelsier. She goes there, and there's almost nothing left of the left side of his face. But on his right side, it still has a small smile. And Vin is upset and shouting that Kelsier cannot die. She's saying, she's like shouting, "You always said that we weren't invincible, but that was only me. You're supposed to be invincible. You're not supposed to die." Then Ham runs out, and he grabs Vin, and he tells her it's time to go. And in Vin's head, she can hear Reen's voice telling her that he had warned her that, Kelsier would wind up leaving her too. And that's the end of part 4.
Yeah, that made me sad, personally.
Again, I immediately start making reasons why he's not dead.
Right. I'm saving it for predictions, but
I've got my own predictions too.
Okay. Hey.
You're not the only one, sounds like, Sheta.
Because
something like this happens, you don't want it to happen. So you're like, this is a story. Anything could happen. And you start thinking of all this stuff. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah. It's good. That means we all have hope still.
Yeah, well.
Just like Kelsier told us to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if that will be a thing or not, because the writer has to be thinking like that at least a little bit, But I've been waiting for the Lord Ruler to show up all this time and very excited for him. And the writer did a way of making me wish he didn't show up now.
I will admit, the first time I read this, the entire book, I thought the Lord Ruler was not like an actual thing. I felt like they was just some prop that other people were using.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you never saw him or something like that. And they had other stuff to do the massive soothing. I just figured and then he shows up and he's actually powerful. It's like, oh, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I thought that too.
Yeah,
so.
Until they actually describe him and embody him, it's more of a concept. It's like describing God,
Yeah. That's interesting too, to give that God feeling this whole time by not showing him. That was purposeful, wasn't it? That's good.
Yeah, they didn't have any scenes with him, any dialogue, nothing.
Just that vague flashback where Kelsier kind of remembers. That's the only one.
And they didn't... I think this was brought up before too. They didn't have any paintings of him either. No one knew what he really looked like.
No, they had paintings of it. They had stuff fighting them. It was the deepness, because they always had him destroying the deepness, but that wasn't.
Yeah,
really
but that was him as the hero, not him of today, right? Like there were no like.
Same? Don't know.
It wasn't like pictures of. It was more like pictures of Jesus up on the wall, right? It wasn't like portraits and stuff, like religious iconography. You know the word I'm trying to say.
Iconography.
Iconography. Thank you, Sheta.
They had a statue though.
Yeah, but even that.
I guess it was more like interpretive. I don't know. Like the idea of him.
Yeah. No, that's interesting for sure.
It is different to see him in person, in flesh and blood.
Well, yeah, especially since he did not describe him until now,
Mm-hmm.
And that he dresses all fancy too surprises me. Like, what was it, black tailcoat that went to the floor or something like that?
Yeah,
I don't remember. Like
a white and black suit, and the length of the coat goes all the way to the ground.
Oh yeah, that was it.
And yet his hands are covered with rings. All right. Anything else in this chapter you want to go over?
I didn't even want to go over this chapter.
Yeah, I wanted to skip. Well, I thought it was very cute that he saved Elend when he thought of Vin, that she loved him.
Oh yeah, that part was good, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've been wondering about that the whole time. If it comes down to it, what will he do?
It was very sweet. It just shows how much he loves Vin. To think of her feelings in the midst of all this.
You see, stuff like that is why I wasn't really worried for Kelsier, because I'm like, oh, we have a character moment, so he's growing and changing, we're going to see more of him,
Yeah.
So which shocked you more, Marsh's death or Kelsier?
Kelsier's.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, Marsh's death? I forgot that even happened.
Yeah, definitely stole the spotlight there with his death.
Marsh's death did lead, because that led directly to the Pits of Hathsin, and that led directly to the executions.
Oh, for sure.
Related, but the character we know nearly nothing, or almost nothing about, or the character who we've been following and listening to the whole time. Like, I feel like I died.
In retrospect, I should have known this was going to happen the second Vin said, "How can I help to Breeze?" Getting her out of the battle, Because usually I notice those things, but it was all too much happening at once, so I didn't think. They sure did get Vin out of the danger. I wonder why,
But hey, Kelsier, he did kill an Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
So he managed to
only
beat
like
that.
12 more left.
And he may have become a martyr for the cause, too, which I think he'd like a lot.
All right. So let's, so we'll go on to all our predictions and theories and stuff. There's not going to be too much to really predict overall. I think I'll just ask you, so what's going to happen with this whole rebellion and everything now? We finish the book next week.
Gosh, already?
I do think that Kelsier, him going down, is going to become an almost religious moment to the Ska, because he did face the Lord Ruler, face to face, got him to acknowledge him and was killed by his hand. That's kind of a big deal, I'm sure people don't really see that day to day, him bothering with that stuff. Like, if the legend of him is already so biblical to everybody, I imagine it's going to get even bigger, and his name will be whispered in dark corners. I think it's going to build to an open something. If he says, "I am hope,"
really?
And that's the line people remember, they're going to think we need hope, and that would be what could push people to overcome the depression that they feel from the ruler. I don't know for sure, but I think that's the way it could go. Sounds like you disagree, Sheta.
I think nothing will shut people up more than having that be said and then having that person just killed. Like, if this person who we've all worshipped is just now, like, dead and gone, that's it. All of our hope was in him,
think, and maybe this is leading to other predictions, but that he had to have known that was going to be happening. That was going to be his end. And I mean, one or the other. If he did, he must have known that doing this was the right thing to do, and this is what was going to pump people up for it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, because he's been saying
Alternatively, he knew he was going to survive it somehow and still will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he has been saying that, there's other parts to the plan. He couldn't tell Vin he was going to be around for sure, I think he knows something that we don't know, Whether it's I need to die for this to work, or whether it's something more magical, I couldn't say.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. All part of the plan.
However,
is that what we're saying? Like,
yeah. And Sheta, you say that that's gonna make people feel hopelessness, but to come that close to feeling it and having it taken away, that gets people so mad. And like I said, that's how somebody becomes a martyr, because you're like, he died for it, or how dare they kill him, and people just get so enraged, they don't think as clearly.
True. In a world where they can't magically be suppressed.
And that is the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It would also be interesting if everyone just lost all hope and everything just got worse than it was before all of a sudden too. That'd be quite an ending.
Yeah.
Well, given what's left of the book, I mean, the rebellion's probably not going to happen in this book. Probably a bunch of falling action, but
if it's anything like Elantris, we'll read 3 chapters and it'll be the craziest shit ever,
That's a good point. Elantris was pretty much like that up until the very end.
Everything's like do, and then boom, 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 so
everything was flipped.
Yeah. However, on the other hand, how many
twist.
No, not a twist. But you got to think how many dominoes are in place right now. I don't know that there's that many, but they could be like ones that he's obfuscating a little bit so we don't see them as too obvious. I mean, obviously the 11th medal is one, but what's that?
Yeah, and we still don't know what Kelsier has that he's hiding from Ham in the others, that one part where he's like, I can't tell you that stuff. It's secret.
Yep.
So he had something going on.
And didn't he yelled at the end, I will use the 11th medal to kill you or something?
I don't remember, did he? Did he
Joe,
reference it? I don't think
what did he say?
I know Vin said you're supposed to use the 11th medal. That's what I remember.
No, Kelsier did not say anything about the 11th medal.
Oh, just said I will.
Vin did, right? Like she said, you can't die. You're supposed to use that and do this.
He's like, what about
the
11th medal? Like, just thinking about all the plans.
It's interesting they have Vin say that because obviously we're all thinking that too, So saying
That's
that
us.
either addresses that because it's not going to be used in that way, or tries to trick us into thinking that our thoughts are as vain as her worries, Which again is stepping into prediction, as you said a bit ago.
Yeah, we have not just a couple chapters, but a whole nother part. So
a whole part of a couple chapters,
Yeah, but it's called part 4, or part 5, So I feel like it's going to be a bigger deal.
Right. So then, let's just go into open predictions and theories. So I think Sheta was saying something around the time that Marsh had died. She had a theory around there.
I always worry about my theories. Like, I don't want to throw off any readers or
what are you talking about?
Ruin their experience.
What, spoiling something by accident?
Yeah, like digging up stupid shit and then like ruining the book. Like, I don't usually talk. This is just my brain, okay? Like, my brain goes weird places and.
Sheta, you can't get much worse than the fucking time travel theory you had.
Sheta, one thing, if people did not want to have that, then they would not be listening to the podcast. They would just read the book straight up. They listen to the podcast because they want to hear your, theories, whether they're ones that are close to true or whether they're ones that are just so far out there that people are like, what? That's what people want to hear.
Okay, well, that theory for Marsh is that's not Marsh's real body. He has actually been turned into an inquisitor.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And like,
how much of yourself do you keep? Sorry.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So like, I thought even that last Inquisitor fighting with Kelsier was gonna be Marsh. Like, that's why he was talking to him all like, personally. But I thought, whatever happens, like maybe they found out about him and like whatever process it takes to make one, they just did to Marsh. Maybe the Lord Ruler just did that just to mess with Kelsier or something.
One thing I would want to point out is that the Inquisitor that Kelsier was fighting was the one that had been hunting Finn the whole book. So we had seen this Inquisitor earlier.
Okay, that's good. That would be something like in a movie. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's the one with the weird specific tattoo. Like that's the same person, not
They all have the same
Marsh.
tattoo.
Yeah, but in the movie, they'd give him some identifier, she's saying, right, Sheta?
Yeah, that actor playing him.
You know, Sheta, if Kelsier hadn't had this happen to him, I might be more warm to your theory. But now it seems like it would be purposeless.
Yeah, I know. Like, well, yeah, and the way he killed him was kind of just like burp. So, well, I still think
Yeah, I
maybe
think
Marsh
you
is
think
out
he's
there.
got more malice towards him. I think you think he's got more malice towards Kelsier than he actually has, you know?
Yeah, I think I
I
had
think it's
built
more
this
apathy.
story. Yeah, that he had a thing with Kelsier's ex or his wife, and like him, and they have some kind of rivalry. But I don't think he even notices Kelsier. Like,
I remembered him, which surprised me.
All right. Any other theories any of you want to throw out there?
Well, I think we all have a few theories about how Kelsier's not dead, and they're probably more not because we really think that it's true, but because we want it to be true.
yes.
So maybe one of them, I think, is something to do with the 11th metal. Maybe he was burning it. Maybe it keeps him immortal for a moment, or heals him. I mean, he'd heal the next chapter for all we know.
I don't think it would be the next chapter if they go that way. I think it would be, you know, a bit later to be like a resurrection thing for the legend of him.
But hopefully they don't like burn him or bury him in that time.
Well, I don't think they're going to be able to get his body, right? Because they just ran in all the chaos.
Yeah, Ham barely got to look at him.
But
if we know Kelsier, oh, sorry, I just thought of something with that. He's gonna show up and be like, "Sorry, I'm late, guys." Again.
In the final battle, right?
Yeah. Okay. No,
now,
don't
though,
say
I
that.
think I don't think the Lord Ruler is going to be beaten in this book. I always thought he would be beat at the end. You know, I'm starting to think he might be a bigger deal than I ever thought.
Right. I liked your theory before about him being like the what's holding it back, or I don't know, like maybe if you get the reference, the Emperor's role and the Yuzan Vong coming and that kind of thing. I like that, but
I
you're
still
right.
do stand by that based on some of the what are they called? The prefaces,
Epigraphs?
You know, where he's talking from the journals, epigraphs, But I don't think he's going to be beaten in this book. He seems like he's too scary. If he is, I'd be very shocked and impressed. But that would only be if Kelsier came back from the dead immediately and just charged him in the next chapter, which I do not expect. But yes, as you were saying, the 11th metal is definitely the outlying thing, and the question of, did he have it on him? And I forget who said probably, you know? And so either he... Oh, go.
Sorry, I keep interrupting, but yeah, if he doesn't have it on him, he must be the only one who knows where he keeps it, right? How are they going to know where it is? And definitely no one else is going to know how to use it.
He's got to either have it on him and it's going to affect him in some way, and he'll have a glorious comeback because it'll make him immortal like the Lord Ruler, which seems like one way to go. Or he stashed it somewhere only Vin would know about because he sees how powerful she is and is resting his faith in her now. It has to be one of those, I feel.
Yeah, Vin's definitely going to be I mean, I don't know if she's going to be the one to kill him, but she's going to be the hero for sure.
Yeah, that too.
Just with the same vein, I thought you have to be dead to use this 11th metal. That's all.
He'll come back as a ghost or something.
You become back as yes, as a mystery.
That is interesting of a thought too. Like, did he drink it? That's the question, right? When he had those vials.
And he thought, I'll do a twofer. Like I'll get killed in front of everybody, and then I'll come back.
Yeah. Because it's interesting that he talked to the Lord Ruler instead of, like, just immediately drinking the metal and doing whatever his plan was.
He didn't fight at all, yeah.
But then
he just wanted to do a show.
Was taken off guard, you know.
No way.
He could have just been taken off guard. One smack to the face, destroying the face, that's a bit crazy, you know.
Yeah, I don't think you expect it to be one shot.
Yeah. And he was already weakened from fighting the Inquisitor, right?
I assumed he was still burning tin. You'd think he would have had a bigger reaction time unless his hand moved at like the speed of sound.
Yeah.
I imagine it had to be very fast, you know. And also, God
Well-
knows what like ways the Lord Ruler affects the metals people have in them, you know.
We just know from Kelsier that he puts on a show because he knows how effective it could be. He rolls up his sleeves when he wants to show off. Like, he's always doing a thing. So I think
He
saying that
also
big
has
old
to know.
speech
Yeah,
was a
Yeah.
part of that performance.
for sure. But he also has to know that doing this dying here would put everyone at risk immediately, you know.
At risk.
Because Vin just predicted, he knows how Vin reacts. She knows she's going to run out if he dies, you know,
Yeah, but he knows the guys will get her.
if they're even alive. On a show, I gotta say, I was so shocked Ham ran out of the crowd. I thought he was gone for sure.
Oh, he's
Because
alive!
they even said they didn't see Ham or Spooks or any of them anywhere, you know?
I hope
Yeah,
Spook
it
is
sounds
okay.
like we've all got this. I'm sure Spook is okay. That would be too depressing. But it sounds like we've all got the same wishful thinking theory that he has somehow got the 11th match to make him pop right back up and keep smiling and kicking ass as he always has.
Yeah, I feel like such a like a little kid to believe that, and it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like,
The
he's
thing
not
is, I
dead.
could see it working. I could see it working both ways, you know? Either the story is you can't kill Hope, or the story is Hope will live on, you know?
Yeah.
Or, of course, the third option of there is no hope. You know, that'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, they do have 2 more books, so it could. So you still have, this, but you have 2 more books to finish it off. And as I told you
just
before,
2 straight books of executing and torturing the Ska, Joe? Jesus, I don't want to read that.
Man.
and as I said before, Brandon Sanderson had all 3 books finished before the first book got published.
Mhm.
So his plan, it's structured throughout all 3. So it's not something where it's like he's writing the second or third one and then trying to make up stuff as he goes to fill it out. He had the entire trilogy planned and set up before the first one even came.
Okay. All right, good to know. It's not just going to be made up and changed.
Who would do something like that?
Speaking of Star Wars, anywho, where were we now?
You guys were all depressed that Kelsier died.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not dead. He's going to come back.
That you're going through the story, and then this one, you just get both brothers just get killed in a span of like 3 chapters.
I've got another prediction. Not really storyline, but I think I want to see gold used in a different way. Like maybe someone is able to talk to their other person and get information. Like, because gold shows you if you made different decisions. So it'd be like, what if we did this instead? And then you could, I don't know, find out information from your other self.
Oh, as a way to cheat on plans? That's interesting.
Yeah. Like, well,
Yes.
what would have happened if we did this? Or like you talk to your other self. Oh yeah, I defeated the Lord Ruler. No, how'd you do it? Maybe not that direct, but
Gonna go through the Doctor Strange where you go through it at like infinite versions and it's like we only made
Yes.
them in one.
Okay,
Someone's
this is going to
something
happen.
useful.
A gold Vin will show up and it'll be like, so what happened? And our Vin's going to be like, Kelsier is dead. And then she warns that Vin. And then we go to that world now.
Whoa. Just got goosebumps.
Oh god. This whole world's gonna fall, just be destroyed by the deepness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not convinced.
Timeline.
I'm not convinced that it's another world, Sheta, because we know that they can see like a glimpse into the future a bit, you know? So I think it might be something more magical than just another world, personally, but it could be that as well, of course. Yeah, I definitely think Gold's got to play some kind of crazy place in the story because they showed it. It was the craziest thing ever, and they just downplayed it like, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a Chekhov's gun to me.
Yeah.
That's cool, yeah. I think it's so cool how it messes with people a lot, too. They're just like...
It fucks them up, right?
Yeah.
Well, not just seeing yourself, but yeah, being 2 of you at once.
Yeah. It messes with your identity, I'd imagine.
Yeah, for sure. You're like, okay, I have another theory about how the mist creature following the hero ate him and became the Lord Ruler. like that. Like the
Is it
like it's
like how the
is like a
Mistwraiths
mist.
do, right?
Yeah, like that. Didn't like literally eat him, but like absorbed him just like that, you know.
That's an interesting one.
So you have two theories on who the Lord Ruler is?
I do like the theory of the Lord Ruler not being the hero of ages. I don't like that one though. Ate him,
That
but
he's just
maybe.
a living Mistwraith this whole time.
Well, no. Well, for me, I imagine it as the deepness is the original Mistwraith. That's what ate him. Yeah,
Oh,
like
so he didn't
That's
beat
an interesting
deepness.
like
Deepness
yeah,
just
the Mistwraiths
became.
are.
I like that one too, Sheta.
Yeah, because I think the Mistwraiths we've seen are like these mindless kind of like ones that just sprouted up, not him, not the deepness, you know.
Yeah, that'd be a good one too. You got two epic mindfuck twists there, Sheta.
And I have a prediction for what's going to happen going forward. Which is kind of okay. So if you'll bear with me, Renew survives, right? The creature, the changeling, will become the Khandra will become Kelsier, just to continue the legend of the survivor. And Vin
That
will
is weird.
Yeah, to just kind of parade him around like he's still alive and hope lives.
Is that what their nod was, are you saying, Sheta?
Yeah. Like,
I don't know. That seems creepy.
Yeah, they'll keep doing that. And then I think Vin will help give him powers to make him look like Kelsier still.
God. That's downright macabre, Sheta.
Yeah.
And yet I can see it now that you say it.
I don't think if they do that, that's not going to be the main part. That's going to be like a distraction to keep like the spirit going. And meanwhile, Vin and the guys will be coming up with a real plan. I don't think that's going to be the main part. It's just going to be kind of a creepy thing they're doing.
I hate that I almost believe that now, Sheta. Because I don't want that to happen. Because if that happens, Kelsier is dead. He's just dead for real forever.
Oh, I know. I don't like it either. I would rather him just be alive still. I also wonder what Says it's gonna do going forward. Because something with the terracemen and their powers.
Well, that's awfully vague.
Well, like I was saying,
my theory is the terracemen are gonna do something. That's my theory.
No, I think I said earlier that the terracemen are the only ones that can use the 11th metal or something. So.
Oh yeah.
This isn't a prediction necessarily, but I would like to see more terracemen powers. Because we've only heard about them. We haven't actually seen them yet.
See them really push them to the limit.
10 times strength or aging or weight change.
I wonder if we're going to find some out there who like a surviving coven of free ones, Not coven, but group of free ones.
Well, you do have all the other keepers that are out there, and they...
Yeah, but ones who aren't like trained eunuchs, like ones who are like free people out there.
Yeah, I mean, Shand had one, and he was kind of a dick. Even though he doesn't have one. Oh!
No, he has a dick still.
No, that one probably was a eunuch, because I think most of the stewards were eunuchs. But Shan had a terrace, steward, but he was not... We don't know if he was a keeper or a ferochemist or anything like that.
I do just want to say, Sheta, they don't chop off everything to eunuchize you.
Oh, I've never seen one.
Because then you'd need to insert a catheter or something at all times.
I always wondered about that.
No, it's just
Wasn't there a part where Viserys shows and he's like smooth as a Ken doll?
Varys.
You would not be smooth as a Ken doll if they chopped your dick off.
Oh, okay.
Jesus, Sheta.
Yeah, Varys. Yeah, in Song of Ice and Fire, Varys lost everything. He said that they cut it off, like root and all. Because the guy because then the guy throws in the fire and he hears some sort of demonic voice coming from it.
Oh yeah, because it was for a magic thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's different.
Okay, so not all the eunuchs are like Varys. Okay.
Well, it's just you chop the testicles off. That's what it is. So they can't reproduce and stuff.
Gotcha. Good to know for all the other situations where I'd need to know that.
All right. Any other theories to throw out there? Predictions?
Kelsier lives! That's my theory. Written on some graffitied out somewhere. Or what was the thing they called him the last time? The Wraith, what?
Lord of the Myths.
Yeah, the Lord of the Myths lives! That'll be it.
Yeah, I thought that the Renew Changeling will be the Lord of the Mist. Like, he'll just be seen by the Ska like that. Not actually the same as Kelsier. Ooh, you know what? Like, if he comes back, like I was saying, as a mist thing, he will really be Lord of the Mist. You know, if the 11th Metal turns him into that.
Yeah, I should.
Mm-hmm.
He's dead. Get over it.
No, I will not.
All right. I think that now's a good time. We'll move on to our characters and quotes of the week. So we'll start with the character of the week.
I guess I would just say Kelsier. I mean, it seems a little like a given, but he did some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm also saying Kelsier for this one. I also think that's the correct answer. Because he destroyed the pits, he did all this badass stuff, and he went down fighting, yelling about hope at the last second like a badass. And he took out an Inquisitor, too. And he didn't kill Elend. A lot of badass stuff in this part.
What the hell is Elend?
Elend, sorry.
It's Elden. He has rings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Kelsier did do all that cool badass stuff, but you can't let him overshadow Spook, who finally got to talk to Vin about his feelings and got to teach her a little bit about using 10-eye stuff.
Spook, Sheta, Spook!
Yeah, I really like, he got a lot of time. He got to sit romantically on a rooftop with Vin and then get captured and almost executed.
Yeah. I do want to say that for that whole last chapter, I thought my favorite is the Lord Ruler until he killed Kelsier, and then it switched immediately, and now I hate the Lord Ruler.
Oh, well, I hate him, but I was still going to give him an honorable mention.
He should get one for sure. He was very, as a villain goes, he was very correct.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love his description, yeah.
Well, I was just going to give the Lord Ruler my character of the week.
Ugh, Joe, boo!
Well, here's the thing. It's like, he's in there for what? Half a page, maybe a page?
Yep.
You have all this stuff. Kelsier has this big epic battle, kills an Inquisitor, and then all you do is just big soothing goes over, you see a cart, and it's just, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Then just from the one page he's in, he just dominates everything. He just walks out, gets spears put in him, just keeps on walking, then just kills Kelsier without a second thought, and then just, all right, let's continue the executions, and just leaves. Just all this stuff, just so nonchalant, just very little time, but he just has such a presence in that moment.
For sure. Killing a major protagonist will do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had barely seen him in the book. We had never actually seen him in person. We just see that black carriage coming, and you just know, oh, fuck.
He did do a good job of living to the hype, living up to the hype that we've gotten this whole time.
I think it's kind of like, going back to what we were talking about with Star Wars earlier, kind of like finally seeing the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. Like, there's one line
sitting there calmly.
Yeah, one line of hearing the Emperor in A New Hope. You see Darth Vader talk to him in Empire Strikes Back. Then beginning of Return of the Jedi, you just hear stuff. It's like, oh, the Emperor's coming here. He's not as forgiving as I am.
Yeah,
all this
that's
stuff
such a good way to set him up.
There's all this stuff, so that way when you finally see him, you just know, all right, this guy can just terrifying.
Sitting on this fully armed and operational Death Star. Horrifying in that one. Battle station, sorry.
All right. Well, we'll go on to the quotes for the week then.
Well, another given. Almost feel like cheating, but right at the end, Kelsier, but you can't kill me, Lord Tyrant. I represent that one thing you've never been able to kill, no matter how hard you try. I am hope.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. When he said that, it was so epic that it made me forget how much danger he was in that moment.
Yeah, he was going to pull something out.
Yeah, it felt like it.
But you can't kill me, and then proceeds to kill him.
Yeah.
that's, when you're talking about adaptions, that's one thing where if they do adapt Mistborn, whether it's a TV show or a movie, just when you get there, just, you'll have that line and then you'll just get, hit and stabbed. It's just a shocking moment for anybody who doesn't know what's coming, and just the way they could do it very well.
Assuming they keep the line.
Oh yeah, there's no way you
bring an adaptation.
You can't get rid of that line.
You can't say that. You know what they've done in the past. You never know, man.
And that's
but
also
if they
why
get it right.
If they do it in a movie, I would love for them to make this 2 movies instead of 1 for this first book. Because if you are there, it's like, all right, Kelsier for like hour and a half. It won't be as impactful as if it's, like 1.5 movies.
Well, the problem with that is if you do it as a movie, a lot of people are going to find out the spoiler for the second movie before, so I think they'd want to do it as one movie, Plus, not that much actually happens in this book, so I don't know that you have 2 movies of content.
A lot of people may find out, but not all. I mean, they were able to turn Dune into 2 movies.
Yeah, but still, Dune's a big-ass book. All right, I'll do my quote now, which is not as epic. But it's when Vin says, or first Kelsier says, as if all these years I've been waiting for a reason to give into self-delusion about the idea that his wife may have not betrayed him. And Vin says, I don't know. Once maybe I would have thought you a fool, but, well, that's kind of what trust is, isn't it? A willful self-delusion? You have to shut out that voice that whispers about betrayal and just hope that your friends aren't going to hurt you. I thought that was a very major moment for Vin, giving advice to somebody else about hope and friendship. That shows how far he's come and changed. And describing it as a willful self-delusion, I think, is a very interesting way to express it. Something we're all doing about our theories about Kelsier not being dead.
It's cute to hear how she describes trust and friendship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because the voice is her brother's voice too, like which we have
we've
heard.
all got our own version, in our head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of her brother's voice, I really thought, at least at that point, she had finally rid herself of it, and then it still comes back at the end of the book.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah,
oh, man.
So sad.
Now wait, because I forgot, I do believe that Vin might lose all hope and disappear for a bit and start living like her brother again, so wait for that.
Oh, yeah. How's Vin gonna take this?
Well, now, though, at least she does have the rest of the crew. She at least has other
until they all
support.
disband and run away, because it's all hopeless now.
And they're ready to disband like every time something goes wrong and stuff, because it's only Kelsier that keeps them together. Yeah, they're like, exactly. Oh shit, something went wrong, like I'm gonna dip like every time.
Exactly.
So they're not gonna stay.
To be fair, the stuff that goes wrong is their entire army dies. Or
yeah, she's not saying a little thing.
I mean, they're all great guys. Like, I can't believe they stuck around for so long, but
so what it would have to be for them
that kept them.
What it would have to be for them to stick around is they all get back, they're like, well, we gave it a go, and Vince says, I'm going for the vault right now, And then they would stick with the plan for that. That's the only way I could imagine it.
Yeah. If Vince steps up and doesn't give up, then they'll stay with her maybe, but
well, just because they don't want her to die alone,
Yeah.
Live together, die alone.
Plus, if anything, if they did break up, I don't see Dox leaving her behind. I could see Dox taking her with him.
And Spook, he can't abandon her.
Why, she already turned him down.
Yeah, but he would still stay if she was going to risk her life. Like, he would help her, I think. All right,
Sheta, your quote.
All right. Well, this is when Kelsier just is starting to think, maybe it's not going to go the way that I thought. Maybe it'll be great, he thought triumphantly. Oh, and then he says, maybe I don't have, and then cut off. Then it struck like a cloud moving before the sun, like a sudden storm on a quiet night, like a pair of fingers snuffing a candle. An oppressive hand stifled the budding sky emotions. The people cringed, and their cries died out. The fire Kelsier had built within them was too new. I thought that was the saddest thing. Like, all this work, this entire time, to build up a fire in them to, like, fight this and stuff in a second. It was just snuffed out like that. But
Too new
I
is
really
an
like it.
interesting way to put it, Sheta, actually.
Yeah,
You know?
that's why I really liked it, because that's what happens. Like, you might something new like that is you have to be brave to have that. You have to. It's not taken root yet inside you.
Mm-hmm. And that's interesting, because I wonder if when he leaves, if that will still be in there and it will be able to smolder and get stronger, like I'm saying about him being a martyr, or if it's what the Lord Ruler wants, where it's just gone and it never was allowed to take root. I wonder to see which way it'll go.
Yeah, that's why I was not hopeful for the martyr thing, because everything has been Kelsier just being like trying to hype everyone up, like, come on, let's go, and it's hard when only one person is doing that,
All right. I guess we'll go to my quote. In mine, we're going to a completely different section of the book, because we're going back to everyone's new favorite character, Wallen.
Yeah.
All right. He couldn't see. He was too far beneath the surface to catch even a reflected glimpse of sunlight, but he could still find his way in the darkness. There were really only two directions, up and down. Movements to the side were unimportant, easily disregarded. He couldn't get lost as long as he kept moving down. All the while, he quested with his fingers, seeking the telltale roughness of budding crystal. He couldn't return this time, not until he'd been successful, not until... Must keep going. His hands brushed something soft and cold as he moved, a corpse, stuck rotting between two rocks. Wallen moved on. Bodies weren't uncommon in the tight caverns. Some of the corpses were fresh, most were simply bones. Often, Wallen wondered if the dead ones weren't really the lucky ones. Must keep moving. Must keep going. Time had little meaning in the caverns. Usually he returned above to sleep. Though the surface held taskmasters with whips, they also had food. It was meager, barely enough to keep him alive, but was better than the starvations that would come from staying below too long. Just the description of just how terrible the pits are and how terrifying everything is. And
another thing about that is you see like 15 minutes of him being in there, and they do this for days on end, week after week, just to get one.
And they're on the verge of just not starving the whole time too. That's what's crazy to me.
It seems like so uncommon to find one. Like it's you work a week trying to find one.
Yeah, you got to find at least one a week, right?
And then you do find a crystal. You have to shove your arm in, just getting all cut up as you're trying to reach in there to grab something, and just go into the caves. It's like, I'm not a cave diver. It just freaks me out too much. I've watched one or two YouTube videos of people going in there, and it's just like I get uncomfortable watching videos.
No, they're literally describing a version of my hell in this part. The darkness, the crampedness, the climbing up and down, the everyone else is out to get you, finding dead bodies, hurting yourself, the, slavery, hopelessness, everything.
And the guy between the rocks, we can only assume died just because he got stuck.
Yeah, getting
stuck. Part of the nightmare.
Got stuck or just gave up and decided
Or again was killed because somebody else came across him with a rock, Because I can't say I wouldn't kill somebody to get theirs if my 7 days is approaching at that desperation level,
Well, I definitely won't go in the pits with you then.
Yeah.
You'll be a better climber than me. I'm going to be dead way before you are.
Well, you don't have to worry about them. They're destroyed.
That's true.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Or they just make them go deeper down in now.
Yeah, but even if you don't die from those things, you can also starve or get lost too.
No, just up and down. That part. Side to side doesn't matter. Just up and down.
No thanks.
All right. Anything else that any of you wanted to bring up about this section of the story before we finish up?
I have half a mind to quit if Kelsier is dead.
You can't say that. You pick Spooks as your favorite.
Oh, well, Kelsier will be my honorable mention.
Oh, come on. He died for your sins, Sheta.
All right. So, on next week, we will be finishing this book, Mistborn, The Final Empire. So just read until the end. You have however many chapters that is, plus the epilogue. So that would be chapters 35 through 38, and then the epilogue. Then after the epilogue, there's a little thing of the Ars Arcanum, go ahead and read that. It just explains the magic system. Just the last book, I didn't want you to read the Ars Arcanum because it brings up stuff that happened that's later stuff, because that book had come out 10 years later. But this one, you're good to read the Ars Arcanum. It's fun. It helps explain some stuff if you're confused.
Okay.
Then for anybody following at home, if you're reading along with us and you have not gotten the next book's called The Well of Ascension. Be sure to pick that up. That way you can read that when we start it up next. All right.
I can't believe it. We're almost at the end.
Yep, almost 2 books down.
That's crazy. Good job, everybody.
If I remember correctly, 85 to go.
Hey, I don't want to know.
Maybe I don't remember correctly.
It's more like 8,500.
Oh.
That would be an impressive bibliography.
Oh, that would be
non-stop writing.
He wrote 8,500 full-length novels in his lifetime.
That's like 2 to 5 a day.
Yeah, is that even possible physically?
Stephen King could do
one
it.
a day for 25 years. Get there.
And they were all critical bestsellers.
Wow.
All bestsellers, that'd be a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go into plugs. Nick, do you have anything you'd want to plug or no?
I don't really produce anything or have online presence. So, nah, I got nothing.
All right.
Well, then you can just plug your favorite brand.
Yeah, favorite brand or restaurant?
I hate brands.
I hate brands and restaurants. You can promote Death House. Or
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, go watch those. Which streaming service was that?
Sneaking into my house and watching them on a VHS player. That's how.
Gotcha. That one.
All right.
You have just encouraged people to break into my house.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Justin, they're not even at your house.
Yeah, they're
wherever
not.
they are.
Right.
I keep telling you to get me the tapes, because then I'll edit them and we can release it.
You know what? That'll be a goal. We'll do it. So by the time we're done with the podcast, we'll have that movie for you guys.
We could make a Patreon, make it a reward.
We may have to refilm some stuff, but yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, Justin,
refilms would be kind of rough.
Yeah.
The continuity was already pretty bad. You throw 20 years in there, however long. Jesus Christ.
I'm sure I still look the same, but...
Well, all right, now you guys want to throw your plugs in?
You can follow me, Profanity Beaver, at most of the various social media places, including the one where you can give money to me, and also the ones where you cannot give money.
OnlyFans.
Profanity Beaver on OnlyFans, that's right. Where you will be horrified if you subscribe to that.
People are going to be so disappointed when they go there and you don't actually have one.
Oh, they're going to be so relieved. That's what it's going to be.
Now you got to make one quick.
Just do it like Randy did in South Park, Sheta.
I mean, are you saying if people were going to pay you, you wouldn't go through with it?
If I get enough people telling me that if I make an OnlyFans, they'll sign up, I will do it. I just don't find that very likely.
Good. Alright. I have my art and crafts on my Instagram, Sheta_low. And then I have cosplay and fashion stuff on my Mermaid Machete Instagram. And yeah, I think that's it.
All right. For general Cosmere Chronicle stuff, you can follow us on Key, a most ancient letter, formerly known as Twitter, at CosmereChron, CosmereChron. If you want to leave comments on individual episodes easily, you can go to the YouTube and do it there with Cosmere Chronicles. You know, if you want to contact us in long form and tell us about your day or whatever, CosmereChronicles@gmail.com.
You got to be careful, Joe. There are people who will contact you and just tell you about their day because they're lonely enough to.
Well, we'll see if it happens. All right, we have not gotten an email in quite a while, so
if you do email it, Joe's gonna read it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't commit to or don't admit to any crimes, that's for sure.
And then and also wherever you listen to this, be sure to rate it. However much you want to rate it. Be sure to leave a review. Let me
Say that it's good.
Or if you hate us, tell us, hey, we hate you guys. Because the algorithm doesn't care. All it cares is that there was something posted.
Yeah.
Well, I guess rating it 1 star does hurt it. But
yeah. Do 10 stars.
Meaning make 2 accounts and rate 5 stars on each.
That sounds like a bannable thing to ask people to do, Joe.
Don't do that, all right? That will get us in trouble, and we can never pass Joe Rogan if we're getting in trouble like that. Also, if you have connections to a famous celebrity, like they're your brother or your cousin or something, let us know, and then we can put them on the episode. Like if your brother or your cousin or something is Matthew Broderick, let us know. We'd love to have Matthew Broderick on the podcast to talk about
I wouldn't
Mistborn.
complain.
What?
Yeah.
I wouldn't complain.
Yeah. Oh, we can have Simba on here. That would be pretty cool. Because it's going to be his voice. Yeah.
Oh. But don't we have the common man's Matthew Broderick on right now with Nick?
That's
You're
right.
so right. You do have a voice like that. Your voice sounds just like Simba.
Wow. Never heard that. Now you got me thinking.
That's Nick's new nickname, is the common man's Matthew Broderick.
Nice.
All right. Well, that will be it for our episode, everybody. So, everyone, go out, enjoy your week, have fun. Yeah, and all that shit.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Nick.
Yeah. I will join maybe in the next book, unless we get a scathing review about me.
Take that common man's Matthew Broderick out of here.
That would be the last one, yeah.
Oh no, that would be fun.
All right, goodbye, fellow people out there.
We're still recording.
Yeah, we are.
We have to say goodbyes.
Everybody needs to say goodbye.
We did say bye.
Justin never did. Now
I thought we were saying bye to each other now.
Oh, no, that's it. All right.
No, we each need an individual bye to each person who's on here.
No.
Bye, Joe. Bye, Sheta. Bye, Nick. Bye,
Bye, good night.
What is this, the Waltons?
Craig?
Yeah.
This is a Minnesota goodbye. We got to hug and talk in the doorway.
All right. Yep.
Honestly, we do Minnesota. Okay. Bye. Good night. Bye.